Good guys, my name is Lord Tomo. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog toy item collectible review. As you know, I am of course Lord Tomo, and this is my channel. Welcome guys and girls, and for anybody who chooses just to stumble across this channel and say, hey, this is not a bad thing what I'm watching. Let's get into the actual review itself, because that's what we're here for. This little fat boy is the Jakks specific classic Tails plush. I say technically it's referred to as the Jakks specific Tails plush, but I'm calling it classic Tails plush for the simple fact that they might make a modern one in the future. They haven't yet. I haven't heard any rumors or anything, but if they made a modern version of Sonic, it would stand to reason that they'll make a modern version of Tails, of course. But you know, it is what it is, and we'll see what happens in the future. Now, this little fat boy, very easy to find. So before we get to the pros and cons of this plush, which for quick review purposes, absolutely love him, absolutely adorable. A lot of pros, a few shortcomings, a few negatives, which I will get into, of course, but I absolutely love him overall, if that's the review that you want quickly. But if you want to purchase it, being an Australian, I purchased this from my local Target store. You can purchase this anywhere, but if you want to buy online, target.com.au, I'll put it up there as well for you guys to have a look at. So you can buy this from any eBay, Amazon. Very, very common to find. So especially if you're from America or Europe, I don't see any reasons. I've checked a few of the websites there. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to find this. So yeah, that's where it's at. So let's get into the actual review, because like I said, there are a lot of pros and a few negatives. So already, one of the things that I like about this, amongst some other plushies, is the stitching. The stitching on this has always been perfect. So in his actual eyes and his eyelids, they're all well stitched. So I'll zoom in as close as I can and see if this picks it up. So you can see how everything is pretty much stitched in, both his eyes and his pupils and his eyelids. And of course, if you look up as well, it's hard to see, but his mouth is stitched as well. He does have, in my personal opinion, a pretty derby looking face. Like, compared to Sonic, for example, which has him smirking, it's adorable. It just looks a bit weird, I'll be honest. I like it, it just looks a bit weird. His nose is a little black ball. It's its own material. Superb, I love it. Now his hair is, or his fringe I should say, not his hair, is these two materials. I would imagine it's the same polyester material, pretty much stitched together to make pretty much his perm, his little fringe. As you can see over there, you can see the thickness over there, and I think it does the job. You know, some companies custom plush to make it very fluffy. Nothing wrong with that, but to capture for what it looks like, it's superb. And if you really, really want to go there, maybe you don't see it. Kind of looks like he has a chicken hair, chicken tail. But I think it's pretty adorable. It does its stuff. I was contemplating if this was going to be a negative, like maybe they should have another one, but it would look weird if two. So one is perfect. There's his actual ears, adorable, much larger. There's Sonic, much larger than Sonic's ear by a large margin, as you can probably tell, which is phenomenal because he is a fox, so it makes sense that his ears are meant to be larger, and the material inside is stitched as well, his inner earlobe, which is phenomenal. And of course you have his little whiskers on the actual side, on the face, absolutely gorgeous. I think is just, I'm lost without words, right? And I think they just done such a superb thing with this plush in particular, and I didn't think they had to, but they went that extra mile and made his little furry chest and thing, which is just literally fluffy material, which I'm not sure what you would call that. It's not polyester, I think it's something else. I think it's just white stitching sewing thingy, just pretty much trimmed up to look like fur. So that's his little, you know, chest hair, which one could argue he's more of a man than Sonic, because Sonic doesn't even have a chest fur. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's your theory for the day. Absolutely superb. Now if you look around his arms, there's his actual stomach, absolutely adorable. There's his actual fist. Now I'll see if I can get a really good shot at this, just to explain. Come on. So essentially what I was trying to explain, there we go. So it's literally just a material wrapped around with a few stitchings to give him finger. So it doesn't actually have individual, there you go, there's it. It's hard to see. You can see it. He doesn't actually have individual fingers, which is okay for the size of these plushes, but it's just a material wrapped around and of course stitching to give it the illusion of fingers. And of course that's his little bands over there on the side, which I always find to be weird, but you know, it does his little thing, which I think is superb. No real stuffing at the shoulder blades, but around his hand and his head is superb. Nothing on his ears, of course. Looking further down, you have of course his little shoes. Cute. I mean, the stitching, it is what it is. Nothing crazy that you would expect for the quality and design of this plush, but it's great. Now, Tao's been notorious for being who he is. He's a flying fox. Let's get it to his ass. So, nothing on the back head, which is perfect, and that's his two tails. I would have preferred if the tails were separate. It does make the clear distinction that there are two tails on both sides. It's not an instance where if you were to actually unstitch it, two tails will part ways. It's literally one full material with a stitching to indicate there's two. So if you cut this open, you're literally going to have a hole. I mean, you could restitch it, but you're literally going to have a hole. You would have mutilated your tails, and we don't want that. We do not harm our plushies. We don't harm tails. Tails is a good boy, and good boys do not deserve pain. But I would have preferred two tails personally. But it does what it does. It does what it does in terms of its stylish design. Now, this particular wave goes for a different style compared to most other companies, and that's perfectly fine. It goes for more, I wouldn't say cheap. I think it's a hybrid of chibi, like small, cutesy, and detail. So it's a mix of both. So like you have the extreme, which is super detailed, crazy plushes. Then you have the small chibi side. I think this falls more or less in the middle. For example, here's the Sonic one. You can check out my review. So you can see that there's like a little stylized versions going on. Of course, you know, it is what it is. But it works within the wave that it's creating, like the design aspect of it, which I think is superb. So overall, the plush itself is phenomenal. Now, with all plushes, I will need to go through and discuss a few shortcomings because, unfortunately, that is one of the things. There's a few things that bothers me. So over here is his tag. I think it's great. Now you have his name here that says Tails, right? I get that, but what bothers me is, you know, that's Sonic and this is Tails. Well, what gives, you know? Unless you're a hardcore enthusiast, you know who Tails is. But if you're new, you can recognize Tails. I know it's all about brand recognition, but I would have preferred a picture of Tails. So, I mean, you have the word Tails, Sonic the Hedgehog will be like, who's Tails? So yeah, I would have preferred that to be a picture of Tails, not Sonic. The other issue that I have is if you open up the actual tag itself, you have a whole bunch of obligatory information, which I think is needed. I mean, I don't think it's needed, but I think the company needs to put it in. Does nothing for the plush itself. I would have expected some blurb to say, Tails is the best friend of Sonic the Hedgehog, blah, 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 blah. There's nothing. All this is just boring information that nobody really needs. Not a big fan of it, especially considering that you're taking a lot of real estate in terms of how the plush is designed. Second thing is, I would have preferred the tag to be somewhere in the back. Simply because from display purposes that I have it, it's pretty obvious that it's there. Now I get it why it's at the front, because at the front it basically is for advertising, it's for stores. But me personally, I would have preferred the tag to be at the bottom. Next I wouldn't say major, but next issue that I have is this hashtag over here. As you can imagine, Tails is Tails. This says Sonic. I would have preferred it to say Tails. I get why they have Sonic, part of the same, you know, series and all that sort of stuff, but I would have preferred it Tails somewhere, you know, because this is Tails, not Sonic. Please give him some love. Now, the other issue that I have is this is pretty subjective, so it pretty depends on you as the person. I like to display my plushes sitting down. Now, this one, as you can imagine, falls. Now, some companies have managed to get this perfect where he's able to sit down perfectly, but my one always falls. Every other plush will fall. Now, you can probably mess around with the tags and make him stand, but pretty much this is pretty much given to be placed against like a wall or a ceiling or anything. Not a big fan of that. That's from an adult collector's point of view. From a child's point of view, I can imagine him picking it up, throwing it around, rubbing his head against the ground and all that sort of stuff. Totally understandable. It's not specifically designed for adult collectors like myself, but it is designed more or less for kids. And I totally respect that. I totally get that. It is what it is. But this is more of a nitpick that I have and for my display purposes. That's just me. It's not a negative on the plush. It's just a preference. The other thing is, some of the companies do well. They have a linear string, basically a string on the top of a head, so you can actually hang it up. So the string will be attached to, I don't know, you can put it against a ceiling or anything. It's pretty much just a string that you can attach it, so it would always be standing up. This one doesn't come with it. I thought that it would have been beneficial to the Plush line. For example, Sonic never has it, that they've added a string. In part, I understand why they don't. Probably cost a lot more, and is designed specifically more for kids and not necessarily adults. Totally respect that. I would have preferred, to have a string out there. Other companies do it, but they're more geared for the adult collectors opposed to the younger kids. Totally understand. So that being said, I mean, other than those nitpicks that I have, overall it's a phenomenal plush. It is absolutely gorgeous. You cannot go wrong with this plush at all. How much does it cost? This little boy, this absolutely gorgeous little foxy boy, costs 16 bucks. 16 bucks. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't go crazy spending. This is Australian, probably 10 bucks US, or maybe $11 Euro. I don't know. I'm Australian, Aussie, oi, oi, oi. If you're American, leave a comment below how much it costs in America. But in Australian, it's 16 bucks Australian, which I think is affordable. I think it's reasonable. Anything more is just absurd. But that price is just the perfect spot, especially if you're a parent and you want to pick up the series. 16 bucks here, 16 bucks there. You got his companionship. That's 30 bucks. I think it's more than reasonable, especially in today's economic times. So yeah. Now rarity. Let's talk about rarity. You can buy this guy anywhere. It's been out for 2 years. It's still on the Target website. I've checked Amazon. I've checked eBay. I've checked various websites. He's still easily affordable at an affordable price. Whoa, look at that. You can pretty much, get him anywhere at an affordable price, and pretty much it will be very readily available. That's the word I'm trying to say. So in terms of rarity, 1 coin out of 10. 1 out of 10. Not crazy, hard to find. And you know what? If you don't have it, recommend it. He is an absolutely adorable plush. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this review. Let me know on your thoughts on the bottom on what your opinions on this plush is. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have the series? Are you hoping that they make more? They have made some crazy ones in the future. That's why, not in the future, like currently now, from the time of recording, which I will review when I get to it, which will happen. This series I will complete, trust me. But guys, thank you for checking out this review. Of course, like always, thank you. Take care, speed on, and peace.